let me welcome my guest for us to begin this morning's session of News File. And as we have announced to you already, we are dealing first with the question of infrastructure. The President has boldly declared, although it's been said many times, he has now even affirmed it a lot more, that the infrastructure, the massive infrastructure that you have heard spoken about over the period, as done by the NDC, only remains on the Green Book or in the Green Book. My guests this morning are Pius Enam Hajide, Deputy Minister of Information, Felix Kwakye Ofosu, former Deputy Communications Minister and NDC parliamentary candidate for Ebura Asebu Kwamankese. We'll have the second segment where Inus Afuseni, MP, Tamale Central and Ranking Member, Legal, Constitutional and Parliamentary Affairs, Yabwa Benga Samoa, MP Adentang and Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party, as well as Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, Director, Advocacy and Policy Engagement of the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD, will join us. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to News File.
Good morning, Samson.
Okay, so my mask has not helped me too much. I just removed it. I'll find time and fix it properly. So let's listen to President Akufo-Addo on the question of, road infrastructure and how the NDC did. We'll hear also the Minister, Kwesi Amoako-Attah, Minister of Roads and Highways, then former President John Mahama on the questions and attacks on what he did as being only in the Green Book. And then we have his special aide who also says something about it. Let's listen to them.
We made a pledge to the Ghanaian people to expand and improve the road network while closing the missing links in the network. We had to make this pledge because we know that the so-called unprecedented infrastructure development of the Mahama administration was fantasy, existing in the Green Book and not on the ground.
I believe that we must be serious, and we should stop this little politicking and I did this, I did that. The most important thing is that within the last 28 months, 2 years, 4 months, this project has been delivered for the people of this country and for our benefit. We are praying that we do the second phase to complete the project. And this project is for the government and the good people of this country. This is what we should
So should it be remembered as an Akufo-Addo project or a Mahama project?
That is not important. That is not important. No, the most important thing is that this project has been delivered within the last 28 months. Under President Akufo-Addo, this project has been delivered.
Our process proceeds smoothly, but, and a big but, let nobody assume that we will accept the results of a flawed election.
In view of the abundance of evidence over the accuracy of the contents of the Green Book, there are only two possible explanations for the consistent falsehood of the President on the matter. It is possible that despite having heard about it, President Akufo-Addo has never cited a copy of the book. It is also entirely possible that he is fully apprised of the contents of the Green Book, but has chosen the path of falsehood insofar as it enables him to mislead fanatical supporters of the NPP or unsuspecting members of the Ghanaian public, and in the process hide his dubious reputation as the least performing of all Ghanaian leaders, at least in the area of infrastructure and capital investments. For the avoidance of doubts, there is not a single project in the Green Book which does not exist on the ground today or for which clear context has not been provided regarding its status. The danger that the Green Book poses to President Akufo-Addo is a grave one, as it provides the most compelling and visceral proof of his mediocre performance compared to his predecessor. Lip service has continued to be paid to President Akufo-Addo's promise to build a rail line between Ghana and Burkina Faso. And with 6 months to the expiration of his tenure, no tangible work has been done.
You're welcome back. And forgive us for the mishap there. We wanted to play President Mahama himself earlier, but we played a wrong sound. We will use that sound later when we come to discuss the voters register controversy. Right. So once again, welcome. And I don't know if I should start with Pius. How can what the president said be true? You heard him. He was so categorical and emphatic that President Mahama's road infrastructure, claims exist only in this green book. And it's not on the brown earth.
Well, thank you very much, Samson. Good morning to you, to my colleague Felix, and to the cherished viewers on TV and listeners on radio. I think that this discussion on infrastructure is important because infrastructure, we admit, plays a major role in our socio-economic development, no doubt. But I think that the view that some people carry, and majority of them from the NDC, that governance is all about brick and mortar is rather limited. Governance goes beyond infrastructure, and I've said that infrastructure is important, but equally important are the huge investments into, for instance, the human capital, social investments, and those must also not be lost on us, and that we must get rid of the thinking that governance is all about engaging with a contractor to put one infrastructure here or there, and benefits may accrue to us later. We can talk about those going forward. And for us, management of the economy as well is critical. In fact, I believe that it is about managing the economy that enables you to even deliver on the infrastructure. And if the growth rate under the NDC declined from the average of over 7% to around 3%, what it meant was that our capacity to even deliver on the infrastructure was declining. And if under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the economy peaked and was going back to an average of about 7%, what it meant was that our capacity to deliver on the infrastructure was also peaking and going up. The other issue about infrastructure, Green Book, I think that is a question that the people of Ghana have answered quite clearly by the verdict of the 2016 elections. Because infrastructure was the mainstay of our colleagues in the NDC pre the 2016 general elections. And when they made the point that roads had been constructed, I recall that on one of the campaign tours, His Excellency made the point that the roads in the country were bad. His Excellency John Mahama at the time retorted that he may have fallen asleep because the roads were too good. 2-3 years down the lane, those roads that we were promised or we were assured had been completed, everywhere you went in this country, people were asking for roads. So it is only fair to suggest that if you indeed promised us and assured us that the roads were fixed and that you had put those roads in the Green Book, and now the people are complaining about the roads, then one, you may have misled the people, or an insistence that the road actually does exist, even in the light of the evidence that the people are asking for roads everywhere you go right now.
A good introduction. You said it is only fair to suggest. Did the president suggest? Please, let's hear the president again, and let's hear President Mahama if his sound is ready.
We made a pledge to the Ghanaian people to expand and improve the road network while closing the missing links in the network. We had to make this pledge because we know that the so-called unprecedented infrastructure development of the Mahama administration was fantasy, existing in the Green Book and not on the ground.
Documents are well documented in the Green Book, and I urge all doubters to get a copy and step into their communities and cross-check if the projects outlined there, the e-blocks, the interchanges, the hospitals, and other transformational projects exist only in that book.
So you heard the president. Was he suggesting, you said it might be fair to suggest that you were only misleading the people and that the things don't exist. Was he suggesting?
Yes, clearly, and we must put the president's conversation into context. I mean, we clearly must understand where he was coming from.
No, was he making a suggestion?
Well, my understanding is that it was a fair suggestion to make, and indeed, he was making a suggestion that it was misleading what was put in the Green Book. The people were hoodwinked, and in fact, misrepresentation was done on the part of the previous administration.
Do me this favor. Listen to the president one more time.
We made a pledge to the Ghanaian people to expand and improve the road network while closing the missing links in the network. We had to make this pledge because we know that the so-called unprecedented infrastructure development of the Mahama administration was fantasy, existing in the Green Book and not on the ground.
We know, he said knowledge,
yes,
that the so-called Mahama infrastructure,
unprecedented, that's
yes, was fantasy.
Absolutely, I hold the view,
and does not exist on the earth.
Yes.
You said he was suggesting that it may be misleading.
Well, I am having a discussion, but
no,
for me,
the discussion is premised on the president's
what the president said was a factual representation of
that
what
they
was
don't
on
exist.
The unprecedented developments that we were told that the roads had been constructed and that they were so smooth that riding on them you could fall asleep. Those fantasy, those unprecedented so-called achievements did not exist on the ground.
Right. He did not limit himself to roads. He said infrastructure, unprecedented.
But Samson, I think that in fairness,
this is what I want us to do.
Sure.
As you can see, I raked up my Green Book, and I can see the various developments in there. If I may give you a choice, take this Green Book, point us to one which does not exist, so that we will know that you are speaking to fact and that the president says it is out of knowledge that these things don't exist. So all the many hundreds of infrastructure here, can you point to one that doesn't exist?
No, Samson, I think that I can understand what exercise you want us to engage in, but I think that, like I said, we must put the president's comment in context, and let's not be too simplistic about it, because you see, for instance, where the president was speaking, was it or was it not in the Green Book? The Temamuto way, was it or was it not in the Green Book? Today, the airport, the Terminal 3, was it or was it not in the Green Book?
Are you able to show? Are you able to show the project that the president?
It will take all the time. I've done some casual work on the Green Book.
I've seen that you brought a lot of books too,
which I can share with you. But
I brought just this.
No, I'm discussing the whole. Yes, I brought some document to also discuss.
So
the
what
whole
I only need you to do is to let me know, for example, the things that have been stated here. I just open at random. Sakomano Sea Defense Project, and they show us the pictures. If you're able to say it does not exist, the president said they don't exist. In Sawam Water Expansion Project, they show us the beautiful buildings of the particular project in this Green Book. So we see them there.
You see, in that when we talk about Insawam water, so hold on with the water, Samson, 1 second. If you go to page 60 of the Green Book, these projects were listed as Mahama projects. The Kmon Water Works.
Yes.
The Kwewu Ridge Water Projects. Kumewu Water Projects. Konongo Water Projects. Wa Water Projects.
Right.
Interconnection of Sechehiman Water Treatment Plant. And they were stated as John Mahama projects.
Okay. So you mentioned the Kmon. the Kpong Intake Rehabilitation Project. Now, what did the Green Book say about it? The Kpong Intake Rehabilitation Project has been carried out to improve efficiency by replacing all existing pumps. As part of the project, a water treatment plant has been built to increase supply to communities such as Dodowa, Ningo, and Pram Pram, all in the Greater Accra region and the Ekwaping Ridge in the Eastern region. This plant can supply 3.3 million gallons per day.
Yes, so I'm saying to you that the impression that the Green Book sought to create was to claim credit and to posit that these were John Mahama projects. In fact, if you listen to former President John Mahama, he said that the achievements, his achievements were captured in the Green Book. But if you read the 2007 budget, you will notice that these projects are listed in the 2007 budget. And so they could not have been projects of the NDC. So that is misleading.
So in this particular context of that project, you are saying it exists, but they can't claim absolute credit for it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And there are
that's a different case. It exists. It's just that they can't claim all the credit. Like they are also saying today that some of the things you are claiming credit for, you should be magnanimous and not take all the credit. Okay.
You go to the one that speaks
Cape Coast Stadium.
The one that speaks
Cape Coast Stadium. They name it here. Nearing completion.
Even that one, they created the impression that this was also a John Mahama project. In fact, it was not.
This is what they said. The last few years has seen Ghana begin to reap benefits of the developmental investments made in the youth in the various sporting disciplines. Over the last 2 years, the progressive prominence of Ghanaian sportsmen, among others, so they state it here, and then what do they come to say about the project? They give us a picture of the project. You see the Vice President and Mr. Arthur inspecting the progress of work. I think they don't say anything beyond that, apart from the pictures, and they say it is nearing completion. So what's your point?
Well, my point is that the whole idea, my understanding of His Excellency's presentation was that, and that's why I started the whole conversation, that infrastructure development is not about one or two trophy projects in the capital or in some few regional capitals. Infrastructure has to permeate the whole spectrum from the very base. Okay. And that's why I brought some documents to show to you that if you are talking about truly unprecedented, it really does not exist. It only may exist in the Green Book, because what we have seen on the ground, going around, driving on the roads, even here in Accra, the infrastructure deficit is so huge.
Okay,
but here we are. We were promised.
This is in the Green Book. It exists, correct? We looked at the Kpong. It exists, doesn't it?
Yeah, it exists, but creates a misleading picture.
This is housing, and you can see here Saglime Affordable Housing Project, and they show us all of it.
Yes.
I suppose you drive to your hometown.
I do.
And you do see these buildings there?
I do.
Okay. Even though they may be under controversy, they exist, don't they?
These ones exist, yes.
Okay.
But Samson, I think that, again, my view was not that simplistic, that what the president meant was that within the 4 years or the 8 years that cumulatively Mr. Mahama has been in charge of running the affairs of this country, collecting the people's tax, borrowing money on our behalf, he was not going to see, we were not going to see even one project to his name. That was not my understanding. There may be a few isolated projects that stand in the name of the NDC and even in the name of Mr. Mahama.
So you are now qualifying what the president said.
But the president himself qualified it, that the unprecedented infrastructure development that we were assured was not anywhere on the ground. And something I can put it to you. Do you see any unprecedented infrastructure that is on the ground? Do you not hear the complaints about roads?
Help me and my audience understand, because over the week that has been the debate. You are clarifying that what the president meant is that there are projects. The projects in the Green Book exist, but they are not unprecedented.
Well, partly so. Partly also that the Green Book paints a misleading picture. In fact, some of us even held the view long ago that this was fraud. Some of the Green Book pictures, they were artistic impressions. At the time of compilation,
you are here. This is the Green Book. I have handed it to you, and I have asked you to point to just one. You haven't done that.
Phyllis will deal with the artistic impressions in the Green Book, because I've heard him speak about artistic impressions in the Green Book. Today, those artistic impressions, 4 years after the tenure of former His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, today you may see some of these structures, because we believe that projects that are good must be continued and completed. So today some of these projects may be seen standing, but at the time of compilation, some of the pictures even in this book were also in addition just artistic impressions. And I just had a call from somebody from Ada yesterday that on page 60 of the Green Book, they promised that they had done the Ada coastline protection. The person sent me a picture that the Ada coastline defense does not exist. This is somebody from Ada, page 60 of the Green Book, I'm told, that they said that there was some Ada coastal protection that they did. But I got a call from Ada yesterday that does not exist. And so if somebody says that some of the projects in the book does not exist, some were artistic impressions, and some are projects that you cannot claim credit for, but you are claiming credit for it in the Green Book, it becomes, even if you may, fraud that was perpetrated on the people. I see. And so I think that was the context within which His Excellency was speaking.
In page 60, where I see Ada is, it's Akim Ada, it's not Ada.
No, it's the Adam Beach. I can get it for you.
Page 60, yeah, I'm at page 60. I'm at page 60. In fact, glancing through in this very short time in page 60, I doubt I can see Ada in page 60.
I'll get it.
What he's talking about is a sea defense. That would
sea defense. Okay, so page 60 doesn't have Ada, and page 61 too doesn't either.
No, I'll get the page for you. Okay. I got a call about it. I mean, I've gotten the page number, but I'll get it for you even before we go on.
And the evidence the person
yes, he sent me the 2 pictures. Okay. But I'm saying to you that we must place the president's comment in context. For something we cannot see that the taxes that were collected, the amounts that were borrowed, huge ones, the grants that were taken on behalf of the people, that you could not see 1 or 2 projects that do not stand in the name of the former administration. No, every government from the days of have done some infrastructure. And in fact, we are doing massive infrastructure, and I'll get to those in a bit. I'm saying that the president could not have been saying that there is not one project that we can give Mr. Mahama credit for. That cannot be the case. Okay. But the context within which we were speaking was that the Green Book was chiefly designed to mislead us and hoodwink us into thinking
you see, whilst you are unable to point me to a single of these things, apart from this uncorroborated one you are showing, and which also doesn't exist at page 60, at least we can't find that now. You still insist and use words like fraud.
But
you know, no, hold on. But you still insist and use words like fraud, and that this is fraud. Please, I want to hear Felix, but all of us, once again, listen to President Akufo-Addo.
We made a pledge to the Ghanaian people to expand and improve the road network while closing the missing links in the network. We had to make this pledge because we know that the so-called unprecedented infrastructure development of the Mahama administration was fantasy, existing in the Green Book and not on the ground.
So after listening to him, I'm obviously not simplifying, being simplistic about anything. Whilst we are being shown that the Adan thing the person is referring to is in page 67 or 66, I'll check that. But Felix, let's hear you.
You see something? This debate is so straightforward that perhaps you should not even be having it because the answer is so obvious. The questions you pose to Pius immediately expose the falsehood of the president's claim. To begin with, I agree entirely with Pius that governance is not all about infrastructure. And in fact, something, if you check the Green Book, it is not all about infrastructure.
That's right.
We speak about the economy. In fact, this is the 3rd Green Book that the NDC has published. The first 2 deal substantially with progress made in the area of the economy. So I wish to put it on record, and I was part of those who compiled this book, that it does not solely focus on infrastructure. 2, Pius says that the thing that enables you even carry out infrastructure investments is the management of the economy. Let me also place it on record that when it comes to the management of the economy, the NDC has a vastly superior record to what the NPP has. In fact, the best record in terms of macroeconomic indicators, there are about 18 different indicators that are used. The best record happened under the NDC when President Mills was president and President Mahama was then vice president and head of the economic management team. The highest growth rates were recorded under President Mills. Indeed, the average for the period between 2009 and 2012 was about 9% growth rate. There was a year, 2011, where we grew by 14.4%. The NPP has never been able to match that. Indeed, this year, they will record the worst ever economic growth in the history of Ghana, 1.5%. No, in the last 40 years, 1.5%.
Which will not be strange because that's the global situation because of the pandemic.
It will go on record that was a growth rate. It is far lower than the 14.4% that we achieved. I just said that to make the point that they go about claiming that they have the best economic record. That is not true. Again, the way that you see if a government's economic performance is reflecting in infrastructure investments is what we call the capital expenditure to GDP ratio, capex to GDP ratio. Indeed, one of the foremost proponents of that is Dr. Bawumia.
Okay.
Whilst in opposition, he never ceased to tell people about the use of that benchmark to assess a government's performance in infrastructure investments. So if you look at the budget statements between 2013 and 2019, it is quite clear. Thank you very much for helping me sanitize. It is quite clear, and I must apologize to viewers for my struggle with the It's not easy wearing this and speaking. It is quite clear which government has a superior record translating this economic performance to infrastructure development. And indeed, when you look at the capex to GDP ratio, the bigger it is, the more money has been spent. So in 2013, under President Mahama, the capex to GDP ratio was 3.9%. This simply pitches your capital investment, the money that goes into infrastructure, against the size of your GDP. So the bigger it is, the more money you spent. 2013 it was 3.9%. 2014, 3.9%. 2015, it jumped to 4%. 2016, 4.6%. President Akufo-Addo took over in 2017. In 2017, it was 3.1%, far lower than what President Mahama left. In 2018, it slumped to 1.6%. 2019, 1.5%. There's every indication that given the terrible growth rate we are going to experience this year, it will be less than 1%. Now, having said this, let me jump into what the president said. You see, Pius should not attempt sophistry. The clip you played is clear and unambiguous. The president said that the unprecedented infrastructure exists only in the Green Book and not on the ground. Again, if it were the case that this was the first time the president was saying this, you could perhaps dismiss it as something he said in jest. And therefore, Pius's discussion about contextualization will come in. It is not the first time. Indeed, for 4 years, President Akufo-Addo has been waging a war of attrition on the Green Book. The first time he said it was on an NPP platform in 2016, August. He was very specific that the Green Book was filled with artist impressions. The second time he said it was when he took over, at the launch of the NPP manifesto. He said it was filled with artist impressions. The third time he said it, he had become president. He met a group of chiefs from the Upper West region sometime in 2018. And I'm going to quote him. Before I came here, and this is a quote, I was told by my biggest competitor that they have done all roads in Ghana and that they are responsible for an unprecedented infrastructure development. Everywhere I go, I do not think there's any institution that has talked to me and has not raised the issue about roads in the area of principal concern. Again, he took this a notch higher. In the State of the Nation address on 20th February 2020, and I'm quoting him, artist impressions have been passed off as constructed roads. And then there was this incident last week Friday. So it is a consistent pattern of attacks
with the exception of this week. The president has been simply echoing concerns of the people he meets.
No, you see something?
No. I am also here.
Yeah.
We have seen and heard that the president has been to places and the people have complained bitterly about their road infrastructure.
And I doubt if President Akufo-Addo will be the last president to whom people complain about roads. Until we do every road in Ghana, that complaint will persist. It is a legitimate concern. And the way that you respond to it is actually to fix the roads, not to peddle falsehood about the record of a predecessor. But I will address that presently. So if you put all the things that the president has said together that I've read to you, it boils down to three things. That one, the contents of the Green Book are not real, they are not on the ground. Two, that the book is filled with artist impressions. And then three, President Mahama had said that he had done all roads. And so when President Akufo-Addo goes on, he should not face complaints about rules that do not exist. So if you permit me, I'm going to take all of this within the constraints of time. First of all, I was part of the group that drafted this book. And I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, without any ambiguity, that there is not a single project in this book that does not exist on the ground today, or at the time we were doing it, or for which context was not provided in terms of its status.
Now you talk about context too.
Because you have not read the book. I doubt if President Akufo-Addo has ever read the book. The book is clear. In every introduction to every sector, we make it clear that these projects represent projects that are ongoing, completed, or in some cases for which contracts have been awarded for. Because projects don't just materialize, they go through a process. So I am saying, for the records, that there's not a single project stated in this book that does not exist on the ground.
Can we take the Adansi Defense Project, for example?
Again, you see,
where in the book you talk about moving on to a second phase.
Yes, but you see,
and he says that somebody has reached out to him to suggest that.
The person who sent him that picture also tagged me in a similar picture on Facebook. The problem with the NPP is that their propaganda is so pedestrian. He believes that when he hides in Adan and takes a picture of the sea is a vast area. So when you take a portion where there are no stones and you present it and say that we have not done the sea defense in Adan, then you're telling the truth. I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, that project exists. There is third-party corroboration of this. Because indeed, the Daily Graphic in 2014 paid a visit to the place. I'm going to read you the Daily Graphic's own testimony.
Okay.
Last Saturday, when the Daily Graphic visited the project site to see the progress of work, officials disclosed that the first phase had already been completed, while the second phase was also progressing steadily. And they are quoting Mr. Adrian Royce, the project engineer, who was there that day when they went. Work started in early 2013, and this is a 36-month project, which we hope to complete within the specific period. The picture you showed there.
So is this a picture from Adan?
Absolutely.
This picture was taken from Adan?
This picture was taken from Adan. At the time that this was done, they had finished the first phase, we are moving on to the second phase. And I'm giving you the third-party corroboration by the most credible newspaper in Ghana, the Daily Graphic, who visited the place and spoke to those undertaking the project.
No.
Please. When you were speaking, I kept quiet. Somebody has merely taken the picture and sent to you. You've not even verified. You've not been to Adan to see it.
So we see the picture here that says Adan Sea Defense Project.
And third party.
And the information related to that says the second phase of the Adan Sea Defense Project will protect about 10 kilometers of coastal stretch. Okay, 10 kilometers of coastal stretch. It has commenced following the completion of the first phase in August of 2013.
Absolutely.
The project is designed to protect Adan and its environs against wave impact and reclaim land to facilitate tourism and development in the sector. And so, if you are looking at this green book, this is the sea defense in Adan that is in reference now, that somebody suggests doesn't exist, and Felix is reading a Daily Graphic report that corroborates its existence. So those of you watching us from Adan, you must be familiar with this particular project. Let's know if, in fact, it does exist or it does not exist, beyond what Felix is quoting from the Daily Graphic.
Well, we were the government that executed it. We engaged a contractor who was doing it. The contractor delivered. The Minister for Western Housing at the time, Honorable Collins Dauda, paid several visits. The TV cameras followed it. They showed the progress of work. We put it in a book. The Daily Graphic on its own went there to inspect it. They spoke to those undertaking the project. And then an MPP propagandist hiding somewhere in Adan takes a picture of the shoreline where there are no stones and sensors and say that the project does not exist.
This is supposed to cover 10 kilometers.
Absolutely. And the shoreline of Adan is vast. So there will be portions where you won't find any stones. So how do you then use that as base that the project we said we have done does not exist? I don't think that we should be this pedestrian and obscurantic in the debate. Again, let me move to what the president says about artist impression. Look, on the 4th of March, 2020, President Akufo-Addo visited the Ridge Hospital to inspect it, to ascertain the level of preparedness for COVID-19. He cannot say that the Ridge Hospital project is a fantasy project.
Okay.
From there, he went to Terminal 3. He cannot say that what he wanted to inspect was fantasy. And he did not limit himself to roads. He said that the projects in the Green Book are fantasy. Again, talking about artist impressions, look, we were very clear, very specific in the book. The Green Book is a 210-page publication. There are 584 pictures in the book. Out of that 584, there are 5 artist impressions. And we clearly indicate so in the book that these are artist impressions. The projects that were being depicted were projects that had started but had not gotten to a state where you could show to make any impression.
All right.
So we indeed, in the case of they included Kumasi, the Kejetia market in Kumasi, and in that instance, it was not an artist impression that they had done. They had actually built a model of it and put it at the Kumasi Cultural Center. People actually went there to see what it would look like. The other one was Terminal 3, which had started in late 2015. And then the other one was another project, the whole airport, which has started. President Akufo-Addo cannot claim that the Kumasi Kejetia market does not exist today. It does. It is the single largest public sector capital investment project in the history of the Ashanti region, and President Mahama did it. The Terminal 3, on the basis of that, this government has told us that Kotoka International Airport has been voted as the most user-friendly or the airport with the best customer service in the whole of Africa. The whole airport exists. Indeed, now the criticism is that it was not needed, but it was there. So on what basis does President Akufo-Addo say that, first of all, 5 pictures out of 584 pictures, which is less than 1%, means that the Green Book was filled with artist impressions? The third point about roads, I beg your pardon.
So the test will be your last point for now.
Yeah, yes. I have many, but I'm sure that we'll get another. You see, the third point about roads, again, let me place it on record. President Mahama has never said anywhere or at any time that he fixed all the roads in Ghana. From page 100 to 113 of the Green Book, we list over 200 specific road projects. The introduction to that sector makes it clear that these roads are at various stages of completion. Some have been completed, some were ongoing, others had been awarded on contracts. The onus is on Pius and President Akufo-Addo to show that there's any road in there that we say has been completed that has not been done. Again, when he became president, the Cocoa Road projects were going on. He ordered a freeze of all those projects and purported to have carried out investigations. So that stalled the project for about 2 years. And if a project is ongoing and you stall it for 2 years, it will deteriorate. And once it deteriorates, the people who live there will naturally call for you to fix the roads. Okay. So if you create a problem and you come under pressure, there are existing roads that have not been properly done. And people say you should come and fix roads. The response to that is not to say that what your predecessor did does not exist, but the response is to fix it. And then there's a final point about, you see, it is important that I clarify. Pius, you get it.
Yeah, in a minute, do that.
Look, Pius made a point about the Cape Coast Stadium. There's another one that they say about it too, and it's important that I use this opportunity to clear it. Something, for the avoidance of doubt, the Cape Coast Stadium was built by the NDC at a cost of $30 million, provided as a grant by the Chinese government. What Pius is talking about in the, and let me clarify, that it is not everything in the budget that gets executed. Indeed, if you want to test it, go and check the 2019 budget read by Colonel Foyata. He listed about 100 routes, none of which was done because the money didn't come for it. President Kufuor in 2007 said that he was arranging financing from Austria to do the Cape Coast Stadium. Indeed, he said that he had paid about $400,000 to secure land, and then he went to inspect the land. There's a newspaper clipping of that visit. But that was about it. When he came to power, there was not a single, source of money that he had left. He had not started any process to get any money for the Cape Coast Stadium. It was President Mills who secured $30 million from the Chinese government to do the Cape Coast Stadium. So, and let me also explain something to you. No, you see, you have made a point.
1 minute.
Don't worry. I mean, we have about 30 minutes more to go, so I'm sure we'll have it. Again, they also, and he has not mentioned it, but it's something that the NPP repeats. The Tuabo gas processing plant. They say that President Kufuor started. It is not true. When oil was discovered, President Kufuor started discussions with Trinidad and Tobago. He said that he will use Trinidadian money to build a gas processing plant. Indeed, there was a place at Isiama that they had earmarked. But not a dime came from Trinidad and Tobago to do it. Again, when President Mills visited China,
thank you.
He got CBB to commit to do it for 1 billion. That is the money that we use.
It's okay, hold on there. So, no, before you were prompting me that you wanted to react to something. Okay, you go ahead.
Okay. So, in the first place, my brother is absolutely wrong in his recollection of their economic performance. If I may refresh his memory, interest rates were high, growth was very low, and I can give you a long list. Everybody, unemployment was high, the financial sector was in a mess. Everybody knows this. There is no way that you run to 2011 when we had a spike in oil production in this country. And it's even an indictment on Mr. Mahama that under former President Ivan Sata Mills, we could spike to 14. And then he handed over to him, and from 14 he brought us down to 3 point something. It's an indictment that you inherited such good economic indicators from the late Mills. You brought it, so you should stick to your own record of the 3.4 and not find solace in the oil spike growth of about 14%. I think that indicts you. But you see, I think that we need to do an audit of this Green Book properly. My understanding was that we were coming to have a conversation around infrastructure, and I will prove to you that even comparing our first 4 years with the total of the 8 years that the NDC has had, and that this Green Book does not speak to 4 years, it speaks to 8 years. And there are projects here that even went beyond the 8 years to the days of J.A. Kufuor, but they are all here. I brought documents to show to you that what we have been able to do within these 4 years is even more. And if we were supposed to do a Green Book, we'll be talking about 10 volumes of this already. Because I see pictures of even Mahama Kambu, those things, those vehicles. There are pictures here. And out of the 8 years, they are talking to us about some 584 pictures. This is it's an indictment on your leadership. But you see, asks Felix for me, page 91. The Atuabo Freeport, does it exist? The Atuabo Freeport. The book says it exists. The book says it is a picture. No, this is a picture.
No, once you look at the picture, you should look at what it says about it.
So when the man says that, there are pictures in the book that does not exist, you are here contesting, but the thing is
you are not reading the book.
So if the thing does not exist, why do you put it in? I'm saying that does the pot exist?
No,
does the pot exist?
Okay. So the picture comes with the writing. Artistic impression of the Atuabo Freeport.
So the man says that this is a fantasy project. It does not exist in Atuabo. It only exists in the Green Book. Is this not correct, Samson? Is this not correct? What the president said, that's a fantasy project.
Is this the fraud and the misleading?
This is one example of them. And I'm saying that I was just glancing through. Upon proper audit, we will find more of these pictures.
Okay, so more of them.
Yes.
I'd be glad if you could show me. Because if you say we have to audit, my expectation would have been that you have done the audit, and that is the basis of your rejection of it in totality, and even the projects that you and I can attest exist, you still doubt.
No.
Now, if the person, the writer, the author puts here artistic impression, and you say that is misleading, I don't understand. What does that mean?
The president said that we have pictures of projects that do not exist.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
What did he say? He said that these are fantasy projects that do not exist on the ground, but they exist in the Green Book.
Okay, so
I'm saying to you that this is an example of what the president said, that this Atuabo Freeport, which is this beautifully captured in the book, and the cameras can show as well, does not exist on the ground. It only exists on the book. And that's exactly what the president said. And I said to you that to properly contextualize, it couldn't have meant that, there was no project at all, with all the taxes our colleagues in the NDC had collected, with all the borrowing that they had done, that they could not boast of 1 or 2 projects. Of course we can. They even put pictures of Mahama Kambu, these motor-like vehicles that carry 3 passengers. They put those pictures in this Green Book as their achievement. In total, including those pictures, they were able to marshal about some only 584. I brought documentation here, even in the health sector alone, over 600 buildings. If we were to compile a Green Book, we'll have 10 volumes of this book. But I'm saying to you that, let's be fair. My understanding and appreciation of what the president said is not to suggest implicitly that for the 8 years that the NDC has been in power, they couldn't even have built one project. No, not one project. They renovated the.
So you are saying we should ignore what the president said?
No, we shouldn't. We should. But there's evidence. Even here, without going, and let me, when I spoke to production,
I want to have a certain understanding that they put a picture and they have written that this is an artistic impression. You say the president's understanding of artistic impression is the reality on the ground. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but the book tells us that these projects, and he said it himself, that those artistic impressions, the projects actually existed.
Oh, it doesn't say this.
But you said that here.
It doesn't say so.
No, but I'm saying that. He said that. He said it here.
You see,
that the ones
when you are talking, you said, let us be fair, let us be fair.
Yes.
I think you ought to be fair to facts.
Yes.
Because when the book itself says artistic impressions.
But what does that mean?
Artistic impression.
But we were told that the projects here, they exist on the ground.
Yes.
So how does artistic impressions exist on the ground?
Okay. So those that are there, you can read. It says newly built, being built or under construction. This one, it says artistic.
There's supposed to be a bridge.
All right.
Linking old and new Weja. Okay. And I'm saying that if we wanted to do, if my understanding was that we were going to do a content analysis of the document, I'm sure that maybe my brother, if we take this book and we conduct there's a bridge in their book that just got an indication that the Green Book speaks about a bridge that joins new and old Weja.
Okay.
The bridge does not exist, but the bridge is in the book.
So let's look at this. Look at it this way. There must be a purpose for what we are doing.
Correct.
The president says the things the NDC showed you in the Green Book as infrastructure they have done don't exist. President Mahama also says that cannot be true. So we are trying to fact check if this is the case. Now, as we said, once again, you have not been able to show us what is in the Green Book as existing on green earth that does not exist.
I just showed you one.
No, you have shown me what the picture speaks for itself, and it says artistic impression.
No, I'm
you have
confused.
Not shown me something they say it exists that doesn't exist.
So what they put the Freeport in the book to suggest that.
My understanding of artistic impression, if I could.
And he himself, you don't even need to make excuses for him. He was here, he spoke. He said that in the instances where they put artistic impressions, some of those projects had even started, but they couldn't take pictures at that time. So there was they took artistic impression and put it. Okay. But as I speak to you now, that Freeport, does it exist or not? I spoke about the Weja, the new and old Weja bridge. Again, in this book, you find the Fufusu Solar Road. That's the Fufusu Solar Road at the time that you put it in this book as having completed the Fufusu Solar Road. Was the Fufusu Solar Road in existence in the manner you put it in the...
Oh. Indeed, they have that.
Then if you do this, it will just be a question of your word against mine. And then you will tell me that the Fufusu Solar is a long stretch.
So to the question I was asking, what is the end game? What's the purpose of the continuous reference to the Green Book as being a book that contains fantasy? What's the purpose of that?
The purpose of the comments that was made was to contextualize the whole argumentation that within the 8 or the 4 years that Mr. Mahama was in charge of affairs of this country, in which case their major trump card was just infrastructure. They failed in the other areas, economy, job creation, and even infrastructure. They are just looking at mortar and bridge. They didn't invest, for instance, in health as much as we are investing in health.
Really?
Yes. The ambulances, for instance, we can get to those ones. I'm saying to you that infrastructure is not just mortar and brick. So the whole point, if I may just answer the point, the whole point was that we want the people of Ghana to know that even with all these limited infrastructure projects that our colleagues have spoken of, there are several of the projects in this book that, as we speak, do not exist. They exist only in the imagination of my brother. So they put artistic impressions in the book.
Okay.
But this book was sold to us to mean that these were projects that were on the ground.
Okay.
And I gave you one example right now of a project that does not exist on the ground, but it is in the book. And I say that, give us more time. Let us know that we are coming to do content analysis of this book.
Let me hold Felix to that. Wait. When you take that artistic impression, what is the purpose? An artistic impression, I got one definition. It's a sketch or drawing of someone or something produced when no photograph is available.
Absolutely.
So the suggestion is that this exists, except that you don't have a photograph for it.
Absolutely. You see, that's why I said that President Akufo-Addo has not read the book. It is clear Pius has not read it. He is relying on pedestrian, low-level propaganda. You see, and we must not engage in ridiculousness.
When the people,
Pius, please.
I think it's not fair. You see, when the people of Etuabo say that there's no free thought there.
You see, Samson.
You say that
he is not reading the book.
You don't need to be.
And you see, for a party that haughtily claims that others don't read, it is ridiculous what you and the president are engaging in. Samson, check page 86. And I was speaking to that Etuabo port. And I told you
86.
that the book is clear. Check point 2. Read out point 2 of page 86. I won't read it. Read it yourself.
Page 86.
Yes. Just under the artistic impression of the whole report.
Preparatory works are underway for construction to begin on the 700 million US dollars Etuabo Free Port project. So I suppose that's really about it.
Absolutely.
Preparatory works.
Absolutely.
So we have the preparatory works there.
So I told you that the artistic impression. Oh, this is Pius. Don't disrupt me. Okay, it is important that we do this. I told you that there are 584 pictures, and those pictures are by no means exhaustive. If you read Dr. Malibu Ahmed's introductory remarks, the foreword, he says that this does not, by any stretch of the imagination, represent everything we did.
Okay.
He speaks about hospital. They have 600 hospital projects. Even our CHIPS compounds alone, NDC 1, NDC 2, over 3,000 of them will not fit into this book.
Okay.
So it is ridiculous to suggest that this is all that we did.
Okay. So
again, you are not reading the book. You are feeding off propaganda of low-level propagandists in your party. And you repeat them even to the highest levels of government, including the president. If you had read this book, you will know that we make it clear that what we have put there is an impression of a port for which preparatory work is being undertaken. You recall that that port was hit by a lawsuit by 6 MPP MPs who argued that it contravened the GPHA Act, which gives GPHA, oh please, you are not listening. You see, you don't make claims, refuse to listen, and repeat falsehood. You are a deputy minister of information, the same position I occupied when this book was being compiled. I took my time to look through the facts. That's why I'm able to tell you the facts.
But you put the picture of a project that does not exist.
But I'm saying
you put the picture of a project that does not. What is the point?
Pius.
What is the point of to
we are not having, you see, we are not having an argument of the deaf ear. You must listen and stop this deliberate propaganda. Don't pretend that you don't understand what I'm saying. When you put an artistic impression in the book, first of all, for you to say the book is filled with it, it's a complete lie. Because 5 out of 584 cannot be filled. It is just one, it is 0.8%, it's not even 1%. Again, I have told you what they represent. There are 3 of them that have
the way we are proceeding.
Please.
The way we are proceeding.
Look. But
it will be difficult. My word against this. For instance, I spoke about the Fufusu Solar Road, for instance.
Samson,
he says it
Samson, you know that part of the country. If you are going to your hometown and beyond, you use the Fufusu Solar Road. Everybody there knows that project exists. So stop being ridiculous, please.
Oh, he hasn't said it does.
But he says it doesn't exist. That's what he's saying. How can you peddle such an untruth? Something that is so clear. That project started in 2011. By the time we got to 2015 when we put in this book, it had been substantially completed. They have about 50 community development projects, schools, water projects, hospitals, and water.
You finish.
So there can be no argument that you can sustain.
You finish.
That at the time we were drawing this book up, it had not been substantially completed. That is false. It does not even make sense. Again, Samson, this bit about the fact that there are only 584 pictures, so it pales into insignificance compared to what they are doing. It's another outright untruth. That is why I have relied on data. I have given you budgetary information. Please, I have given you budgetary information on the metric that you use to establish whether a government is investing more in infrastructure or not. I have used the CAPEX to GDP ratio, and I have told him he can go to Dr. Bawumia for tutorials. He is a foremost proponent of that. Again, Samson, let me put it on record. he comes back to repeat the same pedestrian propaganda. And the problem with the NPP, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way at all, that there's no separation between what low-level people say and what the top echelon say. So when low-level people say that the artist impressions in the Green Book that does not exist, the president repeats it. Pius, for the avoidance of doubt, please.
These things you're saying,
for the avoidance of doubt, Samson.
This classification of the Ghanaian populace.
Samson.
Okay, Felix, you think that?
Why are you disrupting me?
Okay, hold on.
This classification of the Ghanaian populace.
Hold on. You are deputy minister of information.
Gentlemen,
what you know.
Gentlemen, we don't have the whole day.
Yeah, so let me finish.
And as you know, as we advertise, our time is actually up. But this is what I want you to do.
Yeah. Oh, but if you let me
this is what I want us to do to conclude.
Yeah.
Why is it the case that both parties fight over infrastructure that you don't come to office with money in your pocket to build? What's the point?
What, Samson, free SHS is not being done with President Akufo-Addo's money, yet he touts it. What you do with the people's money, you have a right to let them know. So the fundamental principle must be there. I don't like people who approbate and reprobate. We cannot be told to restore President Akufo-Addo because he goes about singing one village, one dam, with money from the taxpayer. And then we are expected to criticize President Mahama if he projects what he has done. So we must be consistent. Okay. No government uses its own money. Every president uses taxpayers' money. It's about, again, the bit about the superior record. Let me give him one. That shatters anything. And if he likes, he can check the Ministry of Sanitation, their own documents. Samson, when we came to power in 2009, water coverage.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yes,
just a minute.
It was 54.5%. No, it was 58.5%. President Akufo had taken it from 54.5 to 58.5. President Mills took it from 58.5 to 63%. President Mahama took it to 76%. President Akufo-Addo now, because of small population growth, it has dipped to 69%. It's on the Ministry of Sanitation's website now. Because we added 109.7 million gallons in terms of production capacity. That means that is water supply.
You see the misleading?
No, you see the
problem
that
you come to office with your manifestos and your areas of priority. It may not be fair to use what you have done in another area and to suggest that somebody is doing.
But he is the one saying that we focus on infrastructure.
In 1 minute, I'm sorry, but we have run out of time. In 1 minute, will you make an admission that the unqualified criticism of the Green Book is actually unfair, and it's unproductive. It's not healthy for the politics. The things you say don't exist, do exist. You call them fraud, but they are there.
Samson, let me make the point strongly now that the criticism of the Green Book is qualified.
It is not.
We were told that there were...
Sorry, he just got a minute. Sorry, Felix.
The criticism of the Green Book was qualified. The president said that we were spoken to about unprecedented investments in infrastructure. Those infrastructure exist only in the Green Book and in the imagination of our colleagues. Here and on this program, without doing any serious audit of the document, no serious content analysis, page by page, we have found some faulty and misrepresentations.
I'm surprised that you allow him to say something that's so obviously false.
If I may just finish. We look, for instance, for the Atuabo Freeport. It's not there, but it's in your book.
You have not read the book. But that is the only problem.
My brother, can I finish?
Felix,
so if you put together...
But why? The writing on Atuabo Freeport.
So
if you put together... But I'm saying that even preparatory works, there's no preparatory works in Atuabo.
But that is not true.
There's no preparatory works.
Samson, what does he understand by preparatory works?
Okay,
what do you understand?
1 minute.
We have run out of time.
Can I have my 1 minute?
We have run out of time. We take a break at this time.
He does not understand what preparatory works is.